Good morning. I'm Bill Leigh. I'm from Minonk, Illinois in Marshall County. I am serving as your president for the Illinois Corn Growers this year. When I became president a year ago in November of 2019, we were still involved with harvest. At that time, I probably said 2019 was an interesting year with the late planting and the late harvest and all that went with it. When we flipped the calendar to 2020, I think we all said, sigh of relief, a new year. What can I say about 2020 besides what a strange year? I glanced through some previous presentations as I was preparing this speech, and many previous presentations had photos of men juggling chainsaws or talking about being broken-hearted after a difficult year. While I appreciate what those before me have endured, I think I will go down in history as the first Illinois Corn Growers president to have ushered our association into a pandemic. When we were in Washington, D.C. in March for our annual meeting there, the pandemic was just coming on. And the question is, how do you greet people? Do you shake hands? Do you bump fists? Do you bump elbows? Do you wave hello? Do you tap feet? All of them were acceptable. The only one, we came down, I said we couldn't tap feet. I feared for the coordination of the board that we might fall down and kick someone. We figured out a lot of things this year. How to show up for our members when we couldn't even show up in the office. How to virtually meet with our elected officials and still get our point across. How to debate policy from every corner of the nation. And how to focus on what is most important. And in that vein, I'd like to take a minute to focus on what is most important. I would like to thank my wife, Debbie, and my brother, Mark, and my nephew, Nathan, for covering me and allowing me to serve as your president this year. I'd like to thank the staff for the exemplary work that they have done in adjusting to the new norm that we have right now. Thank you to the members that have allowed us to serve you, that have faith in us to represent you, and that join us for the betterment of all corn farmers. And now here's what we've been up to, because even in the middle of all the loss and craziness of this year, the Illinois Corn Growers Association accomplished a lot, and 2020 was actually a pretty good year. USMCA passed the Senate on January 16th and entered into force on July 1st. What felt like a very risky situation without a firm agreement between our two largest trading partners actually ended in a new, modern, workable agreement that will keep corn flowing over our borders. In 2019-2020, we sold almost 15 million metric tons of corn to Mexico at a value of over $2.5 billion. We sold 1.68 million metric tons of corn to Canada at a value of over $264 million. And Canada remains our #2 market for U.S. ethanol. In another trade news, our big boost from the Chinese Phase 1 deal benefited every farmer we represent. The industry certainly stood by the efforts made by the administration, and it certainly looks like it's paying off. China has purchased 348.8 million bushels of U.S. corn for the 2021 marketing year as of August 27, 2020. This is great trade news. The Illinois waterway system has been in the news quite a bit, while the Illinois River locks had their major rehab and were closed for the summer. Luckily for us, that project remained mostly on time, and everything opened back up on October 29th this year. I was able to tour the sites in late September, and the amount of work and coordination that the U.S. Corps of Engineers did on those locks was amazing. And I think a great round of applause and thanks should go to the U.S. Corps of Engineers. Illinois Corn Growers' main goal, of course, is to obtain the funding from Congress for a new lock and dam built on the Illinois or Mississippi rivers. And we feel like we've made some good progress in 2020. Back in February, the Navigation and Ecosystem Restoration Program, or NESP, received $4.5 million in the U.S. Corps of Engineers 2020 work plan, and that's great news. This summer, we got the cost share from construction and major rehabilitation of inland waterway projects changed from 50-50 federal-private to 65-35 federal-private. That's great news. In July, the House Appropriations Committee approved the fiscal year 21 budget for energy and water development that would include funding for one new project for inland waterways, locks, and dams modernizations. Great news. In October, we saw several cities in Illinois designated as ports, which allows for more grant and federal funding to come to in our waterways, inland waterway system. Great news. This fall, we also saw a coordinated effort from the entire Illinois congressional delegation, -1, encouraging the Army Corps of Engineers to include a new start for the construction project in their work plan for fiscal year 2021. Great news. We believe we will see work begin on a new lock or dam on the Illinois or Mississippi River in 2021. And I know the work we completed this year has paved the way. A high-octane, low-carbon fuel standard is the next big opportunity for ethanol demand. We saw Sherry Bustos introduce a bill into Congress in October that established a standard like this. The bill is called the Next Generation Fuels Act. When fully implemented, this will be an additional 1.8 billion bushels of corn demand, or 5 billion gallons of additional ethanol demand. The bill is bipartisan and focuses on corn-based ethanol as a solution to the global climate discussion. This has been a project of ours for years, and I believe it is the next big opportunity for corn and the biggest one since the renewable fuel standard. Published legislative priorities in January 2020 are right here. I think in spite of the troubles handed to us in 2020, we dug in and focused on these priorities, and we had significant progress to show for it. We did finalize a USMCA for trade and saw it implemented. We did get a low carbon, high octane standard for fuel introduced into Congress. And we did get some funds for locks and a change in the funding structure, which will funnel more money our way. There are also a bunch of little things that we have done this year that I'm really proud of. First, the new Join Us page on the website and accompanying Join Us brochures and display. We added over 300 advocates to our political text alert system in 2020. We now have an army of nearly 2,000 individuals willing to contact their elected officials on important issues that could impact corn farmers. We submitted 7 comments to the U.S. docket protecting your rights to farm and to use the products available. Engagement on the new Illinois fertilizer education regulations. Over 325 farmers and 300,000 acres enrolled in PCM, generating data for the farmers to evaluate conservation practices. And actually, this isn't a little thing. Let's take a quick minute to recognize our PCM team because they have won awards this year, expanded to new regions, published amazing data, received an early RCPP renewal, and worked really hard on our behalf. We have another 3-year term with Kenny Hartman representing us on the National Corn Growers Association board. We helped distribute hand sanitizer to local communities all over Illinois in March and April when hand sanitizer wasn't available. And we showed up for our livestock neighbors when they were going through depopulation. I would like to say again, thank you for allowing me to serve as your president this year. It has been an honor and a privilege, and I truly enjoyed it. At this time, we will begin our awards presentation. I'd like to introduce Vice President Randy DeSutter, who will announce our 2020 award winners.